What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here once again with another episode of The Legal Submission. And as always, I'd like to start off by thanking you for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube, visit MMApayout.com, and as always, you could follow me on Twitter at the various places that I am. Now, we will not be talking about an actual combat sports legal case today. We're going to be talking about the merger. And if you don't know what merger I'm talking about, you might be not familiar with the WWE, as the WWE was purchased by Endeavor, the parent company of the UFC. And as a result, the UFC and WWE are merging into one company. Now, that is a very big news in the world of entertainment, and it's very big news in the world of sports entertainment, I guess, if you call professional wrestling sports entertainment. It's interesting to note that UFC and WWE are almost parallel to each other. Obviously, the UFC is real fighting, whereas the WWE is stage theatrical combat. Now, the one thing that they are the one thing that they do have in common are, of course, very polarizing leaders. Dana White for the UFC, and now back to the helm, Vince McMahon for the WWE. The merger is had the enterprise value of WWE at $9.3 billion. In comparison, the UFC's enterprise value is $12.1 billion. Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to point out that were interesting as the information came out from the press conference by Endeavor, merging the two of its properties, WWE now and UFC, and that is that the UFC's value is more than the WWE's value. So they are going to be combining into a spin-off company called NewCo, which will build on its value as a generator of sports content. So Endeavor will be supplying the money for this, and NewCo will be a part of the Endeavor portfolio, and I believe that TKO is it's going to be its stock symbol. Now, interesting part here is that the WWE was of lesser value than the UFC, and the UFC was purchased by Endeavor back in 2015, I believe. And here we are 8 years later, and its value has been grown exponentially. As you recall, the Fertitta sold it for $4 billion, and that at that particular time, you would thought that that was a huge figure, especially for the UFC, which many even now think it's a niche sport. But obviously, with a lot of things going for it, it made great strides during the pandemic as being one of the only organizations to continue to have live events at that time. Its content, its licensing, its sponsorships, the sponsorships deals out rival the WWE sponsorship deals, which I thought was very interesting, just for the simple fact that the WWE has a lot more of its product tie-ins, sponsorships relate to more of the younger kids that like and gravitate toward professional wrestling. They like the superhero stories. They like the heroes and villains, and so the WWE has forged a lot of deals with the toy makers and the makers of wrestling figures and video games and things of that nature, whereas the UFC doesn't really have that particular market yet. The UFC does do much more in terms of young adult sponsorships with its DraftKings. The gambling actually is very, very big right now. Fantasy booking, uh, spirits, drinks. Jose Cuervo, New Amsterdam, Dana White's own Hallerhead. Its deal with Modelo. Those are huge deals that the UFC has had and grown exponentially over the years. Now, are a lot of sponsors that the UFC is working with, and still have a lot of areas in which they can have a sponsor. They don't have an insurance sponsorship right now. They don't have a car sponsorship right now, like the official brand of the UFC. Things of that nature, which the UFC probably is eyeing at as well. So the question is now, what will become of the two organizations? Obviously, both at the outset say that they will remain separate. That the UFC and the WWE will not have UFC fighters showing up on WWE television, and WWE fighters will not actually fight for real. That's yet to be seen. Obviously, corporate synergy is something that is very important and interesting for this new venture, the new public company for WWE and the UFC. If you are a WWE entertainer, it makes it more enticing to be part of this organization, simply because now you're under the umbrella of Endeavor, whereas previously you were not. So what does that mean? That means that you could make appearances with the UFC. You could do crossover things with the entertainment division under Endeavor. You can be represented by the agents to get more work outside of professional wrestling. For the UFC, obviously, the allure is that UFC fighters can be a crossover to the WWE, and while no one says that's going to happen anytime soon, it's imminent, in my opinion, anyway. And so there you have the crossover and cross promotion. I believe will be another thing that will occur with WWE right now on Fox, UFC on ESPN. Uh, Endeavor has grown its sports and entertainment division uh, greatly with these two acquisitions. Why did Vince McMahon do this? Why? Well, let me back up. Why did Nick Khan, the CEO of the WWE at the time, why did they decide to do this? Why did they bring back Vince McMahon? Well, in my opinion, it comes down to growing the business and what was best for business, as they say in the WWE. In that, it was a it's a huge company, the WWE, but it was looking to be acquired by another organization. And from one perspective, you could see McMahon stepping away at some point, even though he's back in the uh, the control of WWE. It gives the organization a little more flexibility as to what it wants to do, its deals, its cross promotion, its content, whether it will expand into other industries for the WWE. We will see. For the UFC, obviously, it's business as usual for the UFC. They are doing fantastic. If you look at the bare bones of the numbers that were thrown about during this merger, the UFC has done really well and is still on an ascension as far as its sponsorship goes, as far as the uh, promotion goes. We won't talk about slap fighting because I believe that was a huge money dump, and I don't think that it will last far beyond what we see. What will happen with this new company? I do think that Dana White and Vince McMahon, the two heads of the two companies, will have a lot of say as to the direction of this new company will going. So I do think that Dana White will listen to any interest in a crossover from WWE, and Vince McMahon, as always, will look for any avenue to generate a crowd, basically. So, what to expect in the next year under this new company? Well, I don't think. that we will see much crossover until a big WWE event. It'll be one of those things where Endeavor will want to have all hands on deck for a WWE SummerSlam or something of that nature. For the UFC, it doesn't really have to do too much. It's doing well, and I don't think that you would want to touch it at this particular point. I think that you can include a lot of WWE divas or WWE champs in UFC promotion. Obviously, it already has ESPN as a huge arm in promoting its big events. Dana White is doing a tremendous job as far as forging deals and leveraging the UFC's popularity at this point. So things keep looking on the up and up for that. And then as far as what the new company, it will be doing a lot of sports content. I think that what we gather from this merger is that content is king, and we see all of the lucrative contracts coming up in the sports marketplace right now with college athletics and the NFL and those media contracts. NBA, their media contracts will be coming up in a couple of years. So the content of live events is still huge for advertisers and networks and other online platforms that utilize this forum to attract viewership. So we'll see in the coming years. I think it's a great deal for both organizations. It's a clash of likes for a lot of people I know. So we'll just sit back and watch. It's Jason Cruz with another The Legal Submission. Thank you again for watching. Have a good day.